What's going on YouTube? What's going on Facebook? I appreciate everyone for being here. God bless you. I hope you're having a great day. And today I want to talk about Vladimir Putin versus Joe Biden. They're having an exchange of words. We'll see what it comes to. And I want to really touch on something I haven't heard anybody else say on this topic, which is, the United States allied with communist Soviet Union in World War II. And now the press is very, very upset with Putin. I get it. He's a gangster and everything, but it seems like, in my opinion, and I'm going to say more about it later, I feel like our press corps would be more interested in Russia if they had a Joseph Stalin in office than a nationalist leader like Vladimir Putin, which is very interesting. So, I'm going to talk about that. And then I want to talk about Ben Shapiro supporting mandatory vaccinations. I put the V word because anytime you write vaccination, you get this whole CDC, they block your article or fact check you or whatever. So I didn't want to say it in the title, but I have a video that I found pretty interesting, which is Ben Shapiro pretty much making his case for why he would be totally okay if it was a mandatory vaccination in your kid's school and they pretty much banned any kid who didn't want to get it with certain ones. Very interesting stuff. I'll play the clip. Thanks for being here. And with the fact checkers on Facebook, I posted an article of Joe Biden with the tax thing, because apparently he said, if you make under 200,000 a year or 200,000 and under a year, I won't raise your taxes. And now it looks like press, our favorite, what is her name? Jen Psaki or whatever, the press secretary. I should probably learn her name soon, but apparently she's now saying if you and your spouse or you and your family make that amount over 400,000, you might get taxed. So it's hard to talk about this stuff because the fact checkers are like a PR team for Joe Biden. It's like, fact check, Joe Biden could never lie. Fact check, Biden never lies. Fact check, no, he didn't mean that. When he said the pipeline jobs, he meant jobs, but are there really jobs? It's like, that's what the fact checkers are. It's ridiculous. It's like, dude, people in unions voted for Joe Biden because they thought he would be better on pipeline jobs. You have literal unions who supported Joe Biden being like, man, I didn't believe he would do that. And people have an opinion on it on Facebook or whatever. And the fact checker's like, fact check, no. Fact check, no. Fact check, no. Did Biden really say that? Fact check, did he really get rid of jobs? Fact check, gas prices are not up because of Biden. Fact check, no, he would never lie. Fact check, Biden would never lie. Fact check, Biden tells the truth. He's a truth teller. Fact check, now they're trying to say it's like a Russian, Russia wants you to denigrate Joe Biden. Like, any American that's never been to Russia can't look at Joe Biden and be like, this guy doesn't seem all the way with it. He keeps calling Kamala president. Like, it's like, we know, bro, you're going to be out of there within 3 years, but he can't even talk. He stumbles. He looks like he's like searching for lunch at his nursing home. Every time he walks around, he's like, is it lunchtime at Shady Pines or whatever? It's like, bro, it doesn't take a Russian scientist or propagandist to figure out that Joe Biden is trash. It's like, fact check, no. Fact check, no, Joe Biden didn't lie about taxes. Fact check, he never said that about the pipeline. Fact check, it's Russian propaganda to suggest Joe Biden's not the greatest president ever. It's like, just stop already. These people are psychos. The fact checks are like the communist wing of their PR team. It's like everything that they do is like covered up. They cover up everything. It's really getting annoying, but whatever. It's the same with like never mind. Let's calm down, folks. Let's not get too heated here. Thank you for being here on Facebook. Thank you for being here on YouTube. Tomorrow on Facebook, I'm going to thank everybody who's like the top star people. I'm sorry I've been slacking on that, but I got a whole nother video I'm going to work on later. As always, thanks for supporting on YouTube. And I've been pretty busy, but it's all good. Busy is good. Let's see who we got here. We'll do a few shout outs and then we'll begin. Someone said fact check the fact checkers. No, I have. I mean, I caught the press secretary lying. I catch them lying, but they're like this commie style people. They have no shame. They don't care if they lie. They don't care if they're wrong. They don't, it's like, it's getting ridiculous, but whatever. First things first, I want to talk about the Putin Biden thing before I get into the Shapiro mandatory V thing. Putin, I guess, or Biden started, he said something along the lines that Putin's a killer. And I don't know, Putin is a gangster. So he's got all these responses. But the one I found the most interesting was he said, let's have a conversation. Apparently, Putin wants to talk to Biden, but live streamed and not edited or whatever. Like that's his challenge to Joe Biden. It's like, yeah, well, let's chat. Let's not live stream. And this is where like all of Biden's puppet masters are probably sweating and being like, man, I mean, they try so hard with these fact checkers. They try so hard with the mainstream propaganda media. They try so hard to convince everybody that Biden's just this really smart, really level-headed, I mean, total, impressive character. So a live stream debate, I mean, I doubt it would go well for Joe Biden, which is sad because I am American. And of course, I love America over Russia. But it's like, yeah, our president is a joke. And Putin knows it. Everyone knows it. But they try so hard to just sweep it under the rug and fact check anybody who, I don't know, has a brain or eyes, even if you're a liberal like Glenn Greenwald or, Naomi Wolf, just common sense liberal who realizes the left's out of control. So I printed out this stuff. I mean, I'll show you guys. I don't want to show you my little notes on the bottom, but I'm just going to read those later. You can see it on YouTube. I'm sorry, Facebook, it inverts it. But I printed out about the UN. So I find this interesting about World War II. I've been reading a bunch of old World War II books from the leaders, watching documentaries, but mostly getting to the source. Like I read the Communist Manifesto. I told people, if you want to know what the Communist Manifesto says, don't listen to me. Don't listen to Dinesh D'Souza. Certainly don't listen to Antifa. Read the book, read the books of the leaders they don't want you to read the books of people from World War II, see what they're talking about. And then, you can understand stuff. And then of course, things escalated. Things got absolutely crazy. World War II is a nutty time. But my point is this, I learned about, okay, we defeated Germany and it's so fantastic, right? Like we destroyed Hitler and the world was just a perfect place. And that's why people can't fathom. It's like, what if they try to do that again? And people say, no. It's like they brainwash people to think all of human history is bad. Slavery, Stalin, Hitler. Oh my gosh. And then we won the war and like everything's just perfect except for, Donald Trump. Donald Trump's like a genocidal maniac, but everybody else is perfect. I mean, don't you dare question Bill Gates. I mean, what the heck? It's like, how brainwashed are people? It's like, it's always been crazy. It's still crazy. It's not crazy, but only Trump's crazy. It's like, what are they talking about? But in general, what I find fascinating is who we allied with to defeat Germany. And I feel like this goes under the rug, but as soon as, we established the UN, I printed it out. The UN was established on October 24th, 1945 in San Francisco, California. Of course, San Francisco, the gay capital and the UN capital of the world. Thank you for the super chat. I get it. You want me to buy GameStop and AMC. I can't answer super chats while I'm in the zone. At the end, I can, but I appreciate the offer. You could do it later. So that's when the UN was established, and I have it printed out. It says, the United Nations officially came into existence on the 24th of October, 1945, when the charter had been ratified by China, France, the Soviet Union, the UK, and the United States. So in my opinion, communists won World War II. I mean, we allied with Soviet Union, Stalin, who killed, I don't know, millions of people. We allied with China. So the point I'm trying to make is this. When Russia was killing millions of people, when Russia was treating people insanely with gulags and the Bolshevik Revolution, the U.S. didn't seem to have that big of a problem with Russia. We aligned them to fight a war. And now that, communism has now made its way even further into China, it's starting to creep into Europe, America, all over the world. Russia is more nationalist and less communist than they were in World War II. I mean, I'm not a fan of Putin as far as like, do I think he's like an innocent kitten? He's a gangster. I mean, look at the guy. He's not hiding it. He's like, yeah, I'm a gangster. I run this town. Like, he is who he is. I'm sure he steals a lot of money. He's the big boy on campus and everybody else is a small fry in Russia. I'm not making excuses for Putin, but if you want to compare Putin to Stalin, who's killing more people? Probably Stalin. Who was crazier? Probably Stalin. Who's better for Russia? Probably Putin, because he's not throwing people in gulags and he just is like a strong, nationalist, at some points dictator. I'm not justifying Putin. I'm just saying I would think that they evolved away from communism and most people in Russia like it. So my question is, our press cozies up to communist China. Our press cozies up to all these communist organizations around the world that have no problem doing these psychotic lockdowns and all this sort of like control where they want centralization of control and they don't want you to be a sovereign state. They don't want you to be a sovereign citizen. They hate the Second Amendment. They hate the First Amendment. So this is my question. I haven't heard anyone else say it, but would the press want Putin to be Joseph Stalin? Why are they so mad at him all the time? It's like I get Russia and China are military and economic enemies. They always have been. I totally understand that. But I feel like if Putin was Stalin, they'd be way more okay with it, because they were okay with it in World War II. They started the UN, and in my opinion, communism won World War II. And from that point, we established this communist UN, EU sort of stuff where we're like, oh, it's going to be this global thing in San Francisco. It's us, China, Soviet Union with Stalin. That sounds like a nightmare to me. But I guess, it sounded good at the time or whatever. And then I just have a Joseph Stalin. This is just, off history.com. It says he's the dictator of the United Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, USSR, from 1929 to 1953. So he was in power till 1953. We worked with him with the UN in 1945. And they even admit, they were like, Stalin transformed a peasant society into an industrial and military superpower. However, he ruled by terror, and millions of his own citizens died during his brutal reign. I obviously don't like Joseph Stalin at all, but it's like today's communism is like a lose, lose, lose. And I hate communism. I don't like Joseph Stalin, but I'm just saying, like, then they were trying to make Russia a strong country and hurting a lot of people. Terrible. Nowadays, it's like we're making America weaker and we're hurting people. It's not as bad as Stalin's time, but it's like this weirdo version of like communism, socialism, where they brainwashed and dumbed down America and society to hate themselves, be like super, I'm trying to think of the word, self-loathing, and like, what's the word? Nihilistic. That's a lot of what this liberalism is nowadays. I'm all for empowerment. But it's like when you can make somebody this nihilistic and you can make someone this self-loathing, you can make them do anything, destroy their society, shut down for 2 years. Like the fact that I'm one of the only people talking about the psychological abuse of children, they're psychologically abusing children. You treat kids like this. Most kids say, Mommy, Daddy, I don't like wearing masks. Mommy, Daddy, I want to play with my kids. This is psychologically abusive. And if you actually care, you have to factor that into the equation. Here's the pros, here's the cons, and let's talk about it. They don't do that. They say, here's the pros, there are no cons. Anybody else who talks about it's because they're self-loathing and nihilistic, and all of their social justice is designed to destroy minority communities. I'm going to read this comment from Lauren Chen, because I think she nailed it with the Asian thing. There's a whole, that the left is trying to infiltrate the Asian successful household and subvert them into some sort of psychotic left-wing movement. But Lauren Chen said, Asians are successful because our cultures tend to value family and education. It's not because white people treat us better as pet minorities or some other garbage. It's ridiculous. I even need to explain this. So she's like, these liberals find any opportunity, any tragedy to come in and be like, oh, we'll make you. It's like Asians do great. Like she said, have great culture, great, hardworking, great families. Like, I had Asian friends growing up. Their parents are, in some cases almost too strict. It's like, you're going to play this instrument. You're going to do this. You're going to do this. And their kids thrive. It's like liberals want to come in. They're like, what if we just take over and destroy your family? It's like, then they wouldn't be successful. So it's like, everything's backwards about it. But in general, on the note of Putin, I'm not a huge Putin fan. I'm just saying, it seems like the liberals nowadays in the press, they prefer communism. They preferred communist Soviet Union over, a less communist Soviet Union. And they prefer communist countries and communist ideology over nationalism or people that try to fend them away. And this is my one warning before I move on to the Shapiro talk. A lot of liberals, I think I reach out to moderates, and I know, I might not get credit, it's fine, but a lot of people are like, I never heard somebody say like, you're not too hard, you're not just bashing me in the head with conservative stuff all the time. However, I never thought of it like that, where all these liberals are taught that they're saving Black people, they're saving Asians, they're saving the world through climate, whatever. It's like they think they're helping, but really, if you read the Communist Manifesto and you look what China and the UN and America and the Biden administration and even the Trump administration, as some accounts are doing, they're consolidating power. Communism is all about the centralization of power. It's in the book. It's one of the main goals, besides abolishing the family and, eliminating private property. Private property means it's mine, not yours. Doesn't matter if you're Black, white, woman, man. It's mine. Leave me alone. It's the ideals of like any human being. Like, this is my thing, log cabin, whatever, not yours. Get away. You could share. That's fine. But With communism, it's centralization of the banking system, total control of the money, total control of the media, total control of transportation. What do you think happens when big brother government, whether it's Stalin, whether it's Biden, whether it's China, whether it's Russia, what do you think happens when they control all transportation, all media, all agriculture, all banking? You're screwed. You don't want them to control everything. And that's what they're doing. That's why every major corporation is supporting left-wing socialism, because it's all a Marxist trick to consolidate power to the top. Why is Amazon supporting Black Lives Matter? Why does the NBA support Black Lives Matter? First of all, I have a message to athletes, and I know on Instagram a lot of athletes follow me. I have some friends that are professional athletes, and they know what's going on. But in general, no offense, but the Black activism in the NBA is so pathetic, because you guys are out there selling high fructose corn syrup, like, ooh, Mountain Dew, Taco Bell. You guys will sell anything, State Farm Insurance, because they're just making billions of dollars off you guys. It's like, what won't you sell to the Black community? How is selling high fructose corn syrup amongst an obesity problem, selling big pharma, selling whatever they throw at you, selling that to your people, all this crappy food and crappy lifestyles that has a lot of money, because you sell that and then you put up a Black power symbol. It's like you're killing your own people. The NBA activism is such a joke. Turn against one of these 10,000 corporations and say, you know what? I don't think that's right. And see how quickly, those white people shut you down. Adam Silver, he's Jewish, not white, but in general, it's like, yeah, step out of line with Adam Silver and see how fast you get a $50,000 fine. So it's like, they're so mad at the white working class and all these white people on the conservative side. Okay, there's some bad white people in the world. I don't care. But they just bow down to their white overlords or whoever runs whatever one of the 1,000 companies of the crappy products that they dish out. This is sponsored by Oculus Rift and Mountain Dew. Oh, nothing says a healthy Black lifestyle like Mountain Dew. It's like, these people don't care about health or prosperity for their company. They're being duped by Marxists to push a fake, phony political activism that distracts them from the fact that the people that they're supporting politically are trying to take away private property from Black people and white people, but everybody. It's like, take away private property, take away media, take away the First Amendment. They will try to take away the Second Amendment. That's not going to help Black people. Malcolm X and Frederick Douglass are rolling in their graves over this trash. So, in general, it's like, wake up, folks, because you don't have that much time left if you guys keep shilling for the wrong people. But anyway, that's it with the Putin thing. We'll see what happens if Biden actually talks to them. But in my opinion, Biden's just a puppet for this global agenda, and they're going to wage war, even if it's just like psychologically or media-wise, with Russia, because that's one of the few people that doesn't fully play ball. I'm going to do a whole story on the president of Tanzania, who recently died, and he was one of the people who wouldn't play ball too. It's interesting that he died right after the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, sponsored some sort of Guardian article saying, what are we going to do about this anti-vaxxer president last month, and this month he drops dead. Isn't that just fascinating? But I got a whole video on that, so just wait. But Putin is one of these guys. He's a gangster. I don't think everything he does is great. I don't worship him. He's not my leader. I think America should take Russia seriously. But in my opinion, they're scapegoating him, because if they can get him out of the way, he's one of the few people that stands up to them, as was Trump. Trump was not perfect. Trump did a lot of stupid things, in my opinion, in the last year that really blew it for the Constitution, for the country. Not really happy with him. But the reason they hated Trump so hard is because he gave people this idea of freedom and nationalism, and he spurred a cultural movement, and he was willing to just talk and say things that were real off script that they didn't want him to say. So even as annoyed as I am with Trump, that's why they hate Trump. That's why they hate Putin. I dislike Trump and Putin for totally different reasons than the media, but they'll call you like a Russian bot or something if you don't just like read, random scripts from the commercials. It's nutty. Anyway, second story I want to get to real quick is Ben Shapiro, the conservative icon. First of all, God bless Ben. God bless Gina Carano for doing a whole thing with him. I think she's a wonderful woman, and I hope it's very successful. God bless my friend Candace Owens for her new show with the Daily Wire. The Daily Wire is crushing it. They're turning into a conservative powerhouse, and I wish them nothing but success. And on that note, I just think Ben's take on mandatory vaccinations is terrible, and he's got one of the biggest influences in the conservative world. I'm going to play a clip real quick, and it's okay to disagree. I mean, we should be able to have these conversations or whatever. But here's him pretty much making the argument that he would be totally okay with mandatory vaccinations for school, because your kid unvaccinated is a big threat. And I mean, at that point, why even, send your kid to public? You should be barred from society. Let's listen.
There are certain risks that absolutely do carry. Guillain-Barré syndrome, for example, has been linked to certain types of vaccine. So the typical way this is done is not by forcing a government official to come to your house or calling your kid a truant if you don't get the vaccination. The typical way that this is done is saying you can't attend a public school unless you get the vaccination, which makes a certain amount of sense. You don't want to expose the general public to the transmission of a disease. I would be opposed to the idea that the government is going to forcibly enter your home and give your child a shot against your will. It seems a different thing to me to use the incentive structure of you shouldn't be able to be in public with a bunch of other children in order to get parents to vaccinate their children.
So just to wrap it up, I'll do my best Ben Shapiro impression without getting blacklisted from Daily Wire, because, I texted Candace the other day. I'm hoping to get on Candace's show, but this stream might blacklist me, whatever. He's like, well, I'm not for like them coming to your house or anything. I mean, I don't want them to come to your house and give you a vaccine. I mean, I don't want that to happen. But I mean, if they have to say your kid can't go to public school if you don't get the vaccine, then I mean, I'm totally fine with that. I mean, that makes totally sense to give, justify in order to get you to do, bully you into mandatory vaccine. I think it should be your kid shouldn't go to school. But I'm not trying to be rude. I just think that's a pretty decent Shapiro impression. I would say 7.7 out of 10. There's a lot to be desired, but could be better, could be worse. That's life. In general, it's like, bro, what? This is like with Trump. I mean, I'm not purposely. I don't have I'm the type of person. If I had it my way, I would be. It reminds me of that Chappelle skit where he's like, if I had it my way, I'd be drinking Cambodian milk or whatever. Never mind. If I had it my way, I'd be on an island. I wouldn't even have to do anything. I'd be playing volleyball, pickleball, tennis, basketball all day. I wouldn't even have a job if it were, I would just be socializing, running, getting in Olympic shape. I'm still trying to. I don't want to talk about Trump. I don't want to talk about Ben Shapiro, but they have the biggest influence in the conservative world, and they've been trashed the last couple of years on some of the biggest issues. It's like with Trump, you got to love what he did the first 3 years, but then in the pinnacle of American socialist communist takeover, he was on the wrong side of the lockdowns, wrong side of the 15 days of slow spread, wrong side of the, advancement of it into 30 days, wrong side of, in my opinion, Operation Warp Speed, and he just won't shut up about it. So I'm like, I wish I was on an island, but in my defense, I can't even get to an island because they closed down all my leisure activities. They closed down cruises. I love cruises. You got to take a test, jack a PCR test up your nose, even though the inventor said it's not made for that, whatever, to get to Hawaii. So I can't be on an island anymore. So now Ben Shapiro and Trump have to feel my wrath. But my wrath is really nice because I'm a considerate guy. So my wrath compared to the media's wrath, they probably like me, even though I critique them. I had something to say. The cruises thing threw me off. But anyway, I remember now. I want to highlight somebody that did something I agree with, so I don't sound like a negative Nancy. But Ron DeSantis did something, and shout out to David Knight, who used to work for InfoWars but got fired, I think, for probably being too honest. Alex didn't like that or whatever, or maybe I don't know what happened. Anyway, David Knight pointed this out, and it's a great point, and he's been getting a lot of flack for it too. But in Florida, DeSantis overrode fines for people who went against the liberal mask mandate. So this is how you win against liberals. It's not by, let me see if I could please them by being a liberal. They'll never like you. You could be nice to them and stuff, but as far as shifting your policy into a socialist communist policy, they're never going to appreciate what Trump did for Operation Warp Speed. You think they're going to give him credit? No, they're going to say he killed everybody. They're nuts. But anyway, Ron DeSantis used his presidential or whatever governor power to override mask fines and mask mandates. So eventually the police officers in Miami and in these other liberal areas, they stopped writing them because he would pardon every single person who got a fine. That's how you win. Ron DeSantis is a G for that. Trump could have done that. He was the president of the United States. He could have pardoned Ian Smith. He could have pardoned every single person who got $100,000 worth of fines for opening their business. Trump could have done one of 5,000 things. He just never did it. He went out like a puppet. He went out like a pawn, and Fauci says jump, and Trump says how high. A week ago, Fauci said Trump needs to convince conservatives to get the vaccine, and Trump 3 days later gets on Fox News and does exactly what Fauci says. He came in like a renegade. He went out like a puppet. Ron DeSantis, you don't have to do everything, but you could throw me a bone once in a while. Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Ron DeSantis. It's like, that's what you can do. You can't do everything. Pardon every single fine of every single business who got socialist and communist. But Trump is such like an egomaniac or something. I did it. I'm Operation Warp Speed. I'm the best. My lockdown's the best. Sweden shouldn't have locked down. How dare Georgia for opening up early? I said to lock down. It's like, dude, F you, bro. So I'm not trying to do this stuff, but it's like, you can do something. And this is how we incentivize freedom. Ron DeSantis looks like a superstar now. He within 2 months went from good governor, great governor, whatever you want to say, to presidential hopeful. He's now top 3 in the Republican Party. Why? Because he supports freedom, because he was the best governor or top 5 governors against the lockdown. Freedom is popular. And this is the psychology, how we can shift the culture, make the Republican Party better and make the Liberal Party better. Who's the least popular? Who might get recalled? I don't know that they've done a poll, but I have a lot of Democrat friends in California. I don't know any of them except for one who likes Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom's not popular because he doesn't support freedom. Even Democrats are getting ticked off. How come Massachusetts, how come all these other liberal states can open up schools, but we can't open schools? He's like poverty king, homelessness king, lockdown king. Even Democrats are pissed. So this is what we need to do. Reward freedom, boo-hoo to slavery. That's what we should have done with Trump. DeSantis is now changing the Republican Party because now I think Abbott and these other guys are like, oh, he's so popular. I could be popular if I do freedom. So we need to reward freedom and boo-hoo when Trump becomes lockdown king and just say no. And like I said, I want to be on an island, but I can't be because the conservative influencers are, Trumps and Shapiro's are not doing anything. But, with Ben too, I'll just play the clip again. This is him making a case for why he thinks your kids should have mandatory vaccinations at schools. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. I wish he didn't say this, so I didn't have to do a segment on him.
There are certain risks that absolutely do carry. Guillain-Barré syndrome, for example, has been linked to certain types of vaccine. So the typical way this is done is not by forcing a government official to come to your house or calling your kid a truant if you don't get the vaccination. The typical way that this is done is saying you can't attend a public school unless you get the vaccination, which makes a certain amount of sense. You don't want to expose the general public to the transmission of a disease. I would be opposed to the idea that the government is going to forcibly enter your home and give your child a shot against your will. It seems a different thing to me to use the incentive structure of you shouldn't be able to be in public with a bunch of other children in order to.
It seems different to me. I mean, I don't want to come to your, listen, Boll and Branch each, they're the best, but I don't want to come to your house and give you a vaccine. I just want to bar your kid from public space. Oh, thank you, Ben. That made it so much better. I'm going to play the first clip real quick because this lady on the phone, she really lays a lot of stuff down. So I have the whole clip on my Twitter, but I'm going to play the clip from the woman who called in because she was pretty on it.
Hi, Ben. Hey, this is cool to talk to you. Hope you're doing well. Okay, so I just want to say that I absolutely agree with you on the vast majority of things. I listen every day. I think your show's awesome. But there's one issue where I think we're at an impasse, and I'd like to explain to you why I think you're wrong.
Sure, go for it.
Okay, so I want to know how you square your libertarian-leaning and pro-life views with mandatory vaccination. And here's why I don't think you can. So for one, there are certain vaccines where aborted fetal DNA is in them. And it's not just a couple of aborted babies dozens of years ago. Some of these are quite recent. Also, there's vaccines do have risks, and we know they do. There's a federal vaccine court. There is a national vaccine.
So I don't want to play the whole thing, but the lady goes through all, and they have a back and forth debate. The whole thing is on my Twitter. You could check it out. It's near the top of my Twitter. But I find it fascinating too that the number one vaccine capital of the world right now is Israel. I have to connect these dots just because it's true. Israel's the vaccine capital of the world. Israel is the most bullish on the two-tiered society. Ben Shapiro is Jewish. Ben Shapiro supports free speech, but he doesn't support free speech if you're criticizing Israel or Jewish people. He believes in anti-Semitism rules. I could do a whole video on this, but people don't like to hear it because when it comes to Trump or Shapiro, they close their eyes. But I have tweets of him saying, this is anti-Semitism, this is anti-Semitic, and he's too broad with it. If somebody's like, hey, I want to do horrible things to these people all the time, all of these people, it's like, yeah, that person's an anti-Semite. That person's disgusting. They should be condemned for moral reasons. Like, that's wrong to hate and hurt people that based off their skin identity or whatever. That's all bad. But like Ben will be like, if you suggest any Jewish person has loyalty to Israel, that's anti-Semitism. It's like, no, that's a fact, little Ben Shapiro. Facts don't care about your feelings unless you're, telling the truth about Ben Shapiro's ethnicity and religion. Then all of a sudden his logic goes out the window and he says, you know what? That's hate speech. That's anti-Semitic. I mean, you can't say that any Jewish person has loyalty to Israel in America. It's like, besides Sheldon Adelson, the biggest GOP donor who on camera said, I fought in the American army, but I wish I would have fought in the Israeli army. Why did he say that? Because he loves Israel, because he's Jewish, and there's nothing wrong with that. But this idea that Ben Shapiro can slither his way through conservative media and say, I support free speech, except if you say things about my ethnicity and religion that I don't want you to say, then all of a sudden I'm going to say that it's hate speech, and I'm all for freedom, except for if your kids want to, avoid big pharma over prescriptions. And this lady made a good point. I'm not anti-vaccine and I'm not anti-pill, but I think it's pretty obvious that the pharmacy industry in America has overprescribed like everything. You need Adderall, you need this, you need that. They give it out like sweet tarts to kids now, where some kids may need some sort of medication. Most don't. And they just jack up kids with all this sort of stuff. The same thing is true with the vaccine industry. But, slithery Shapiro will never admit that, because either he's just a complete fraud or he's got a massive blind spot like Donald Trump on one of the most important issues. I don't know which one it is, but I find it very weird that his whole identity is, I believe in free speech. And every time it comes to free speech about a certain country and a certain ethnic group that he's a part of, all of a sudden he twists and turns and makes up all these speech rules that literally make no sense, that the ADL is pushing, the State Department's pushing, Republicans are pushing. Even Ron DeSantis is pushing. I like Ron DeSantis, but he's pushing these speech laws, and they're trying to push them into society. And it's totally unconstitutional. And also, I would say it's really concerning, considering the medical tyranny capital of the world right now is starting to roll out like Israel. So if you criticize Saudi Arabia, you don't hate Muslims. Maybe you just don't like Saudi Arabia. Maybe you do, but I can't, I have a pretty good moral compass. I think I could tell why someone hates someone. And they try to make this statement, and they all do it, including what's his name? Mike Pompeo. He said multiple times, anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. So if you are critical of Zionism, you really hate all Jews. It's not true. There's Hasidic Jews in America who are anti-Zionist, who literally scream at liberal Jews and they're like, I'm the real Jew, not you. It's like, it's not true that if you disagree with that political/national agenda, that you're anti all people. I know hundreds of Jews that I've seen online that feel more strongly about it than me. To be quite frank, it's not my battle over the Holy Land, Israel, Palestine. I get it. I weigh in on it. I get it has a big impact, but it's not really my thing. However, they try to say if you disagree with Israel, or if you don't like what Israel's doing, or if you try to boycott Israel, you're an anti-Semite. You hate all Jews. And it's not true. There's a lot that Israel's doing in the military industrial complex wise. There's a lot that they're doing pharmaceutical and vaccine wise. There's a lot that they're doing technology wise. Me personally, I take it case by case. Do I like that company? Do I like that person? Do I not? But in America, if you can boycott Saudi Arabia, if you could boycott America, if you could boycott the MyPillow guy, but you can't boycott a foreign country, and they're the ones who are rolling out the vaccinations, and they have massive influence in media and politics, but you're not allowed to say it. And conservatives like Shapiro and Trump and DeSantis and pretty much all of them, I hate to, be an outcast, but they all believe in free speech so much until you question the country that either funds them or they're just so enthralled with that they throw the Constitution out the window. Then all of a sudden they're all passing speech laws. If you don't believe me, I don't want to harp on this because it might seem, someone said debate. I would love to debate. I'm open to debate Ben Shapiro on mandatory vaccination, speech, the First Amendment, and Israel. I'd be open. I doubt he would want to do that, though, because I'm not a 17 blue-haired liberal that's easy to beat. I would destroy him because he's lying to everybody. And he probably knows that. That's why his eye contact's all over the place. But in general, you know, it needs to be said. If you search DeSantis, and I like Ron DeSantis, if you search Ron DeSantis anti-Semitism speech laws, you can read what the rules are, and they're asinine. It doesn't just say if you hate somebody or whatever. It's like, if you suggest that this happened, and it's like half of them are actually true. It's like there are people that have dual loyalty, and then there are people who don't have dual loyalty. Like Sheldon Adelson, you know, when he was alive, had dual loyalty. He bragged about it. Ben Shapiro has dual loyalty. Obviously, he loves Israel. There's nothing wrong with that. I like Italy. I like Poland. Ben Shapiro likes Israel more than I like Italy and Poland. There's nothing wrong with it, but Ben and all these people try to pass speech laws to say that you can't say that they're doing that or that they feel that way. Why would they do that? It's very sneaky. And you know, I'm not for it, but I guess that's just the world we live in. So overall, you can see on my Twitter if you would like, but you know, Ben Shapiro thinks that mandatory vaccinations in order to stop your unvaccinated kids from getting to school is completely okay. And while he's not for the government coming in their house and injecting you, he's totally fine if you or your kids get barred from public spaces if you don't submit to the ever-growing, ever-expanding, ever-rushed, ever-emergency authorized, ever lied about, ever covered up, ever zero liability, ever shill on both sides. You know, if you want to just opt out, you know, we're running out of room because people like that are trying to make it so we can't. And it spans both parties. Let me just read. Sorry, I got all these super chats. All right, Marcus Nicole Ray is saying he's really trying to get me to buy AMC stock, and he keeps dropping these $50 super chats. Bro, thank you so much. You were right about the AMC earlier. It has gone up, but I'll consider it. I'll read the super chats. He said, the best part about AMC is it's an obvious home run, and a realistic sell can turn 1,000 into 1,000,000 with AMC. All right, I get it. You want people to buy AMC. Thank you, dude. I don't know if I will, but maybe you'll inspire somebody. He said, bro, I'm an old school follower. I used to donate heavy, and I even approached you via email on life insurance, and you agreed to hear me out. It never took off, so I didn't waste your time. This stock stuff is bigger than anything imaginable. Bro, you're hyped off the AMC. I got you, my man. I appreciate the super. He's dropping $50 super chats, just being like, AMC, AMC, AMC. I got it, bro. I'm making $1 million. Listen, I hope you do. Maybe I'll throw $20 in there. Maybe I'll throw $200 in there. Maybe I won't. I don't know. I'm not a financial advisor, but I will consider what you're saying. And I don't know, dude. Maybe I'll take the money that you gave me and throw it in AMC. Maybe I'll do that. If you keep dropping $50 super chats, I'll just take that money and put it in AMC for you because I wouldn't even have that money without you. Maybe I'll do that, okay? But I'm not a financial advisor. Don't take advice from me. And yeah, that's just standard. All right, let's see what's going on. I'm going to answer some questions. Christina said, you need to make sure you don't get assassinated. This is like my pet peeve. I mean, it's like, hey, Anomaly, I'm a coward, so you should try to be a coward too. Please be as scared as me. It's like, you need to be afraid of being a coward your whole life. You need to be afraid of standing for nothing. And the reason all this is happening in this world and in this country is because everyone's a coward. So if you're a fear-filled coward, keep it to yourself. It's like you need to worry about not getting in a car accident. You know, next time you drive, I hope you don't break your neck. I hope you don't die. I hope you don't get in a car accident and your head smashes on the floor and blood splatters all over the place and you need to hand over your money to your family. I hope that doesn't happen to you. I hope you don't slip on ice. I hope you don't eat some bad food and get a stomach flu. I hope you don't die of cancer. Yeah, I like you so much. I'm just going to, manifest all these horrible things on you. Thank you so much. Yeah, go F yourself, but have a good day. It's like, this is the worst. Like, I'm so afraid. You should be afraid of an enslaved society. What happens in 5 years when you don't even have the option to say this and you're in a gulag and your kids can't even breathe without a cloth mask on their face? Does that worry you at all or no? Does nothing about what's happening in the last year? Does that not like click in your head? Like, hey, maybe it's time to actually do something and take a stand while I still can. Or do you want the country to decline into like Bolshevik Revolution Part 2 where your ribs are sticking out because you haven't eaten in a while and people have to start eating humans in order to survive? Would you like that if all the men were cowards? No? Then you should shut your mouth. And when one actually stands up and says something honest and accurate, you should thank me. You should give me praise and positive energy, not manifest negativity on me, because you'll die faster without people like me. You know, you're screwed. You'll be a slave. You'll be dead in 20 years. So if you want your kids not to die, I suggest you keep your fear to yourself, you fraudulent coward. Next question. Michael Mulhill said, you've gone crazy. No, this is like the standard thing. I'm fine. It's just like, oh, let me just fear monger all the time and try to scare everybody. It's like, that's why you're getting enslaved. That's why humanity's forced to lock down, destroy themselves, give up all their power and money. And it's like, what do you think this is going to lead to if people don't stand up? It's not that hard. Someone said it really worries me. I don't know if you're talking about that or this, but it's like, you think I want to live on Earth with you cowards? I'd rather get assassinated than have to live with you pussies. So I don't really care. I mean, first of all, I'm fine. I'm in no danger that I know of, and I feel great. But it's like, oh yeah, I really want to live to 100 with you guys and be a coward like you and just sit and curl up in a ball and be a slave for 60 years. It's like, I'd rather get, it's like, if more men were not total pussies, excuse my language, we wouldn't be in this position. But you guys are all cowards. And this is just a fat, no offense. I mean, there's a lot of fat people who watch my channel because half the country's fat. But in general, it's like fat, lazy, brainwashed, pill addicted, completely cowardly society. All these Christians are like, oh, if you're gay, you're going to hell. Probably. But what about what it says about cowards? It's like, it's just as sinful to be a coward as it is to be a homosexual. It's like, it says specifically in there, and I'm not defending homosexuality. I'm just saying, it's like, you guys read that 100 times and you probably sleep with dudes behind closed doors. But in general, it's like, what about the part that says if you're a coward, if you have no bravery, that's a sin? Does that part not strike you as hard or something? Everybody likes to read the nice little quotes from the second half, but the first half has some bangers too. That's in Revelation though. But anyway, it's like, what happens if that happens? I don't know. What happens if you're a coward your whole life and the whole country suffers because of it? It's going to be a lot worse than if you actually stood up for yourself. Like, I'd probably be washing dishes somewhere if I was a coward. I'd probably be working for minimum wage, and then I wouldn't have a job, and then I'd be poor, and then I'd be in a high crime area. It's like, you people drive on the road. It's like, how many people die from car accidents? You go to a hospital, hundreds of thousands of people die from hospital mistakes. You guys don't care about that. You're so afraid of your 0.0001% chance of somebody doing something bad if you actually have balls or a spine in your back. It's like, what a pathetic country. When all this terrible crap happens, don't blame the left. Don't blame anybody. Don't blame a certain ethnicity. Blame yourselves. This is a pathetic country. And anytime somebody isn't completely pathetic, you go out on a limb and try to scare them. It's like, go F yourself, you coward. So tired of these people. Like, that's like the number one thing. Oh, Pitbull talked about communism. He better watch his back. You better watch your back, you coward. It's like, oh no, poor Pitbull. I mean, man, he's got to really worry about talking about communism. He escaped communism. That's why he talks about it. Lived a life, I don't know, made like $100 million. Probably got every woman that he's ever wanted times 1,000, toured, made millions of dollars playing music. Oh, what a poor little baby. Now that Pitbull's like 45, he's speaking about communism finally. Oh, I'm so scared for him. It's like he lived 50 lives times your life in the 20 years that he was making a fortune. I think he's fine. Oh, Trump, he might have got threatened. It's like he's 77. If you can't make a stand for your country at 77, you're a coward and you're a coward. It's like, just these people are so pathetic. Like, where does it tell you that there's this huge reward for being such a fraud? If you're going to be a coward, just keep it to yourself. Oh, maybe if I never do anything brave in my life, I'm going to get a happy ending. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're going to get a society where nothing functions anymore, and everything's going to degrade. What do you think is going to happen to your suburb? It's going to turn into San Francisco. Look at Europe. You could travel around very safely with no worries in the world 40, 50 years ago. Now Paris looks like a trash dump, and it's just going to get worse and worse and worse until real people stand up. Like, you're bringing hell on earth with your cowardice. That's why we're going to live in hell in 20 years. If enough people actually do something, they're not just going to go after everybody. and they might, no offense, but they might kill you even if you never do anything. It's like, look at the Bolshevik Revolution. Were all of those people standing up? No, millions of people got killed because nobody countered what was going on, and then everybody died, even the cowards. It's like, what part of being a coward do you think is so impressive? And if you are, please keep it to yourself, because I'm so tired of this crap. Now you should feel like trash for trying to make everyone else feel like trash. It's like, just stop. Aren't you? It's like, what do you do that's so rewarding? It's like, I sit in my desk for 50 hours and I'm afraid to speak out or I'll lose my job. I'm like, I feel bad for you. I have, like, that sucks. But, like, you know, there's pros and cons to everything. But being a little coward doesn't really, you know, it's not the most rewarding thing. And I'm not trying to be mean. I know people need to make a living and do sort of stuff, but it's like, keep it to yourself. There's good elements of going out on a limb and telling the truth, and it comes at a cost, but so does being a coward. So don't think you have this, like, safe high ground. Like, I'm so safe because I never do anything. No, you're not. You know, you're probably more likely to die than me. Anyway, I'll read some super chat. Someone said, my stream is the God pill, my spending limit buy. All right. Thank you, Marcus. The God pill, I'll check it out. 2637. Someone said, they shall stumble over one another. Someone said 2637, they shall stumble over one another as if to escape a sword, though none pursues, and you shall have no power to stand before your enemies. Thank you for that. Someone said, now hold on. If you do not quote scripture to support that being a coward is a sin, then you should not be saying that. Sometimes, I mean, let me see if I can find it real quick. I apologize if it's sacrilegious, but let me see. Let me see. I'm looking for it real quick. Give me a second. Yeah, it might take me a while, but I'll get it for next time. I apologize, but there is a scripture line that says that, you know, it throws in cowards in the same frame as, like, murderers and stuff. Someone said Revelations 21:8. All right, I should be able to find it. Hold on. Revelations 21:8. Let's see. Yeah, here it is. It says, this is, thank you, my Bible friend. It says, those who conquer will inherit these things, and I will be their God, and they will be my children. But as for the cowardly, the faithless, the polluted, the murderers, the fornicators, the sorcerers, the idolaters, and all the liars, their place will be in the lake that burns with the fire and sulfur, which is their second death. So God literally he literally will send you to hell if you're a coward. It's like, and Emily, watch your back. It's like, according to the Bible, you're going to hell. So I'll read it again. He said, to the thirsty I will give water, and as a gift from the spring of the water of life. Those who conquer, that's the people who actually stand up and do it. Those who conquer will inherit these things, and I will be their God, and they will be my children. But as for the cowardly, the faithless, the polluted, he puts you in the same frame as a murderer. The cowardly, the faithless, the polluted, the murderers, the fornicators, the sorcerers, the idolaters, and all the liars, their place will be in the lake that burns with fire and sulfur, which is their second death. Okay. And, you know, a lot of people are born again. I'm not Mr. Pastor here trying to tell you how to live. We all make sins. We all have flaws. But this idea that being a coward is high praise, I'm putting an end to it. He literally condemns you to hell, and he literally says you're in the same category as a murderer. How come that everyone's always, you know, points out certain things. If you're gay, this, that. He also says if you're a coward, you're going to go to hell with the murderers. I'm not supporting the other. I'm just saying that's like, who told you that being a coward was this, like, godly thing that's so impressive or so safe? It's so safe for me to be such a it's like, no, that's why the world's going to shit. And at a certain point, you know, who cares? Leaf Sanders said, evil will prevail when good men will do nothing. Thank you for the generous super chat, Leaf. And I agree. Evil is prevailing because good people aren't doing anything. And this is the part that bothers me. I'm sorry I get passionate and heated about it, but this is like one of the most common negative things people throw at me. And it's like, if Trump doesn't do something you agree with, good men are supposed to say, listen, we like you, but we don't agree with that. but no one does anything anymore. It's all about idolatry. It's all about false idol worshiping. It's all about popularity. It's all about fame. It's all about fortune. It's all about fear. Fear is taking over the country. If you look at a liberal and say, you won't go outside because you're afraid, how silly is that? You won't even go outside. You won't even hug your family because fear is controlling you. You know, you won't allow people to be free anymore. You're destroying society. The devil's taking over the planet in such a disgusting and more obvious way because people are just letting it happen. So the point I'm trying to get to is like, you laugh at a liberal for having that much fear, and then you try to say, you know, you got to watch out because, you know, you're saying some stuff. You got to watch out. So do you for being a coward, because when this many people are cowardly, this is what happens to the country. And you think it's bad now to speak out. It's not that bad. You know, there's a lot of people, Naomi Wolf, when more people speak out, it's impossible to stop. When everybody not only doesn't do anything, sits to the side and says, oh my gosh, that's when you're endangering me by being a coward. You're not only endangering yourself and your kids, you're endangering me. So if you really want to help me, not only don't be a coward, and if you want to go even further and not help me as much, just keep your fear to yourself. Trying to push it onto me and everybody else who watches my stream, you're helping the evil people. I agree with that super chat. Evil wins when good people do nothing. And good people are doing nothing, either because they're afraid or there's consequences. You know, I'm not going to get into certain reasons, and I'm grateful I'm doing my own thing and having success, but it's like all these other conservative outlets that have all this money and all this influence, they spend millions of dollars in ads. You think they haven't seen my videos? You think they don't know who I am? You think they don't know that I can do stuff? I mean, I'm getting millions of views every week and I'm writing, scripting. Everything I do is my own. You think I can't have a show on one of their networks? Of course I could. Besides Tucker Carlson, no one would even be able to compete with me because I don't even need a speechwriter. But they don't want to work with me because I say too much, or I say something that they don't want to say, and it's real, and they don't want to be that real. They want somebody that they can control, somebody that's just real enough to be conservative, but not smart or mobile enough to actually call them out on their BS too. So, you know, the point I'm getting to is, I forgot, but I don't really care. You know, it's like at a certain point, people hold themselves back if they're not afraid of being heard. They're afraid of losing money. The same way you don't speak out against it at your work if you don't want to lose the job. I get it. I totally get it. I don't want to lose $100,000 a year. I don't want to lose my job at Daily Wire. I don't want to lose my job at Blaze TV. I don't want to, you know, tick off Dennis Prager because then he won't sign my checks. Or I get why people are afraid, but I'm not. And I've never been pro or con. And I don't want to be burdened, or I don't want people to try to make everybody feel like it's so terrible to do that, because that's why nothing is working. When you have a party that claims that they're against socialism and communism, and they sign $1 trillion socialist communist bills, lock down Operation Warp Speed, and virtually nobody in their own party pushes back against it, this is not just a left-wing thing. The left wing is the worst. The left wing is definitely, you know, the heart of it. But the right wing, it's all fake. It's all a show. You know, very few people actually do something. Donald Trump did something for a while, and that's why people revere him. Ron DeSantis did something more than other governors. You know, like reward people for doing stuff, but don't just get caught in like a left wing, right wing paradigm where you never criticize or look at your own side, because it's like a two-winged bird and it's flying in the same direction, but the right is just further away. But at a certain point, it's just not going to matter anymore. You know, when they consolidate power to a certain extent and nobody stands up against it, it's not going to matter. And I appreciate people who are concerned about me, but I'm that brave. I'm that honorable. You know, I don't want to ruin the movie, but maybe I will. I watched a great movie, Ip Man, recently. It's about a Chinese, you know, national. And, you know, he had options. It was like, either you got to purposely lose and then we'll spare your life, or you win and we'll kill you. And he won anyway, because he's not he's like, I would rather stand up for what's right and die than I would do the wrong, fake, cowardly thing. I don't want to live a coward. If my two options are live a coward and die a legend, I'll choose die a legend 10 out of 10 times. And I don't feel like I'm in any sort of danger or anything. I'm not afraid. I'm fine. I'm just saying that even if it came down to that, that's what I would do. That's why I can't relate when people make excuses. Well, what if they got to Trump? Then he's a coward and he let down his country. If you're going to go out, I would hope it didn't happen. But if you're going to go out, what better way to go out at an old age of 77, saving your country? Now you're a hero. Now you're revered a legend. Like, why go that far? You push that far into the global agenda just to turn around and stab your own country in the back? There's not enough money, power, safety in the world that could make it worth it for somebody that has honor, an honorable person. Trump just isn't an honorable person, or he got fooled, or he doesn't know what's going on, or it's this blind. I don't know what it is, but it's not my job to make excuses for it when my people, my country, are getting enslaved. If you look up the definition of enslaved, I don't say this lightly. Irish people were indentured servants. Black people were enslaved before and now. There's also other, the Bolshevik Revolution was basically slavery for white people. The Armenian genocide, people of all ethnicities have been killed, enslaved, and genocided. But this scheme is a slavery scheme. When you can't leave your house and you're forced to wear a plastic or a paper cloth over your face, and they do whatever they want, but you can't do it. You're a peasant now. They're the elite class. They're implementing socialism and communism. So this is the best time to speak out. I'm not trying to scare people, but it's like, we'll be fine. But at the same time, the more power they consolidate, the more they steal, the more they extract, the more they push forward. You're going to wish people like myself said more in these years, because these years are the safe years. If things go in this direction, I pray that they don't. But in 10 years, these will look like the golden ages of lockdown, even though it seems bad now, where it's like it's all perspective. But don't think there's a reward for that type of behavior. And in general, we need to reward people who do the right thing and condemn people who do the wrong thing, not in some like goofy liberal way where you're like a hypocrite, but just like, dude, I don't know that this lockdown's a good idea. I don't think it's honorable to spend 3 years saying you're fighting socialism and then in the fourth year become the biggest socialist president ever. That's just what happened, and he's never really adapted. He just goes on Fox and does whatever Fauci says, whatever. But I don't know. It's like people think that's okay and it's bad to say something else. It's like, no, I don't agree, but whatever. Someone said you're edgy but still kosher. Well, I try to make the message. I mean, sometimes I mess up and curse, but I try to make the message be compassionate to people who don't hear it. I leaned left. I went to school. I was in hip hop music. I was in sports. I get what they're doing, and most people don't know. So I think a lot of people on the right, they're so angry about it, or they're so like they'll impress a right winger, but a left winger will never listen to them, like a Tommy Lauren type. She'll impress the right, but I don't know how many liberals look at her and are like, yeah, I get it now. They're just like, it's like repellent. And vice versa. A lot of people are angry, I think, like say on the far right or whatever, like they're too angry. And it's like you become what you hate when you hate too much. If you're passionate, it's one thing, but if you're like viciously mad, you become who you're trying to fight. I'll give you an example, and then I'm going to read the super chat. Talk about the Anti-Defamation League, which is a Jewish organization, and then talk about the far right who actually hates Jews. It's like they manifest each other because the ADL is a horrible organization. It's a Jewish global organization that just censors speech. They're far left. They're annoying. They're fake. They're terrible. And then the far right is really angry, and a lot of them are actually really mean and really, nasty. So it's like they almost like manifest each other. It's like they're looking for you. They find you. They write more speech laws. You get pissed at them. You call them out, and it just bubbles out of control because, it's like both sides are irrational, emotional, hateful. They hate the other. You become what you hate when you hate that hard. So it's like, I find that it's like if you want to stop anti-Semitism, I agree. But the first step is to not be terrible. If you're an organization, you say, this is who I represent, and then you're horrible, people are not going to like you. It's like Sean King or these like Black Lives Matter organizations. Like Black people need a good group, but you're not a good group. So if you say I'm Black and then you're terrible, you're only going to make people hate Black people more. So if you're going to identify as that group, make sure you're honorable, not like Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, way better spoken, way more honorable Christian. Like, this is the type of stuff that's going to make people in a suit. I don't wear suits, but you get what I'm saying. It's like, so the ADL, it's like, you're not stopping anti-Semitism. You're horrible. You're creating more anti-Semitism than ever because you guys suck. And vice versa. The further, it's like you guys are making them feel like they need to do this in order to stop. It's like, be real, but don't be so hateful. And I think it can pierce harder and it could work better. Whatever your mission is, you could reach more people, and it's not going to provoke like a huge backfire. That's what I think. But Leaf Sanders said, I would say, if I may, stay genuine and passionate, and people will continue to pick up on it. You will create and have been creating change. People like Shapiro and others, I'm sure, lost their roots and became too absorbed. Yeah, I mean, we're different people, but I think, Ben's wife's a doctor. He's more, he's more like straight and narrow. Certain things he nails conservative, and certain things, we're just very different people. Like, he has blind spots, but I don't know his motives. I just think his vaccination policy sucks. Thank you, Pancakes and Syrup. All right, read a few. Someone said self-perpetuating reality. Yeah, and I want to say, on this note with the racial stuff, like the victim culture, and I mean, anybody can do it. A woman, Black, Jewish, Muslim, I don't know, like Asian now they're trying to bring it to, but Asians succeed because they don't have that mindset. So that's trash. But in general, anytime you have that, it creates this sort of thing where like people have no self-accountability. So I want to use this as an example. I don't want to be offensive, but with World War II, the biggest, in my opinion, the biggest victims in history, the biggest victim card, the biggest promotion of victimhood ever would be World War II with Hitler and Jews. Everybody has it ingrained into their heads that, Jewish people were treated worse than anybody ever in modern history of all time, ever. And they use that so you can't question anything that they're ever doing ever. Okay, fair enough. Not really fair, but let's move on. Now you have, after World War II, you had the Nuremberg trials and the Nuremberg Code, right? And one of those codes was basically, don't experiment on people. This is out of control because of how Jews were treated in the Nazi regime. And then they passed speech laws in America. Actually, one of the speech laws on the State Department website, I believe, is you can't suggest Israel's like Nazi Germany. It's like a speech violation of the anti-Semitism codes that you can't see that. Now, what is Israel doing? They're the vaccine capital of the world, and they're trying to force vaccination harder than anybody else. Why? In my opinion, because they have, as a group, it's not everybody, but they have no self-accountability and no self-awareness, and they've taken such a victim stance harder than anybody in modern history ever that they've never looked at what they're doing in their groups and in their culture. So now they're doing everything that they claim that, happened to them 50 years ago to themselves, violating, in my opinion, their own codes that people wrote in order to stop what happened to them 50 years ago. And now it's happening again through their own, manifestation. They're doing it to themselves in their own country that they run, forcing this and making a two-tiered system of an emergency authorized, vaccination that people have the right to not get. Same thing in this country with like Asians. It's like, the average Asian's doing absolutely amazingly because they don't buy into victim culture, and they don't do that. Whereas in other communities, they drill it into people's heads and it becomes a self-manifesting thing where they just keep doing it and keep sabotaging and self-sabotaging. And it's like at a certain point, it's got to be a conscious effort to stop doing that. There is no, how can somebody come over from China who can't even speak English, They like how can they make six figures a year? They don't even speak the language. You know how hard that is to come to a country, not speak English, and start a restaurant and make a bunch of money? Asians do it because they just work really, really hard and don't make excuses. So if you get what I'm saying, it's like the cultures that have the least self-awareness are doomed to repeat history, and no one can say anything about it because of cancel culture and political correctness. They've created a shield where you're not allowed to say it, and they're not allowed to take accountability. Or if they want to, they can just blame, and just say it's racist. And as they're doing it, exploit everybody in the it's like, it doesn't matter what ethnicity you are, but people don't want high crime. People don't want theft. People don't want murder. So if there's a murder problem somewhere, identify the individuals who's doing it and try to stop it. But how could you stop it if you could never talk about it? They want to act like it's not even happening, blame anybody else that they possibly can, blame white people for everything. And it's just unsustainable. It's all like the lockdown. It's like, I wish I could just not make videos. I mean, I could, and nothing would change, but I wish like 15 days to slow the spread would have ended after 15 days, but it didn't. And if you really look at who these people are, they're never going to stop until people put their foot down. So, I know a lot of people gave me flack in April and May, and we're like, dude, just wait till the election, wait till this, wait till that, just wait. Trump's got a plan. I said in March, last year, he has no plan. And it's not a bad thing. It's just like, you have to do something. DeSantis does something. You need more people to do something, anything. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to do everything. Just do something. Stop waiting for everyone else to do everything. That's the problem. We waited and it's never going away. This is never going to end because there's not enough people doing something. So when I do something, don't try to stop me or scare other people. You contribute even a little bit, do something, where like if we all did something, it would have ended. But you get what I'm saying? It's the same thing with victim culture and cancel culture. It's like, it's never going to go away because nobody's standing up to it. And it's starting to happen, but there is no like, it'll just pass. It's like, it's not about COVID. They're using COVID. Yeah, it's happening. People are getting sick, but it's like, so they shut down the economies. Kerry doesn't wear a mask. Gavin Newsom's at a French Laundry. The NBA can play sports. Your kids can't. But this is a slavery scheme. This is a communist centralization of power that they will eventually, as soon as it ends, if it ever does end, and it's all psychological, as soon as it ends in your brain, it ends in real life. 100,000 plus businesses got wiped out, and there's multiple businesses that got fined but never closed. Gyms never closed. It's psychological. If you give into it, it's never going to stop. So people, I feel like the pressure to do it. I get it. And I'm trying to be nice because I get that it's hard to do in certain, but if you give in and everyone else gives in, that's why it never ends. It's never going to stop. As soon as psychologically people get over COVID-19, they're using the vaccine. Get the vaccine. It might provide protection. It probably will. You still have to wear a mask. Get the 2 jabs. And, still wear a mask, social distance, 3 feet, certain people, you could still get it. You could still transmit it. We're working on it, but just get it. And it's more psychological. People will get it. And now they feel like they're good, and that was part of the plan. Scare the crap out of everybody, sell them this magic ticket, make billions upon eventually trillions of dollars. If you have a product that 1 billion people are going to take multiple times a year, and they're not even factoring in herd immunity. Natural immunity. Rand Paul's talking about it. Even this defector from like the World Health Organization is talking about it. Geert Vanden Bosch, or whatever, I don't even know his name. It's like, yeah, there is a such thing as immune from a vaccine if it works properly, but there's also natural immunity. Like they're trying to inject synthetic mRNA into your body. Your body has mRNA. Your body also has an immune response and antibodies. Like that's what they're trying to replicate via a vaccine that's an mRNA injection with a spike protein to create an immune response, or a regular vaccine where they give you a little bit of it and your body fights it off. So if they were really concerned with a vaccine ID card and it really worked, they would factor in what Rand Paul's talking about. Everybody who got COVID and got natural immunity should have immunity for a period of time. If you get a vaccine and they make you get it twice a year or, every year, it means it doesn't last forever. And it might be same thing with natural immunity. Maybe natural immunity lasts 5 years, maybe a year, maybe 6 months. We don't know, but they're not even factoring that in because they don't care about it, because they don't care about anything. This country is overdosing on pills. This country is obese. 90% of the deaths were in countries where obesity is super high. They don't care about it. They're selling you high fructose corn syrup, any drug, just filling us up like fat cattle and then leading us to the slaughter. And no one seems to be able to identify it. And then you have conservative leaders like Trump shilling for these industries, and conservative leaders like Ben Shapiro saying he supports mandatory vaccination for kids in schools. How are we going to get out of this? People are like, don't say that. Don't, we're fighting. So you're not fighting socialism. If your leaders are Ben Shapiro and Trump, there's a reason we are where we are. Because they're the biggest issues facing our country, they're on the wrong side of. And everybody just follows, along for the ride. But the ride's not going where you think it's going. That's why say what I say. Someone said testing. But the point I'm trying to get to is psychologically, once enough people are not afraid of COVID, the whole thing ends because it only works if everybody follows it. That's maybe why, and I don't mean to harp on it, but when people try to scare me, first of all, it doesn't work. If I was scared, I would just not even be here. But also, I don't want you to scare other people because you're trying to plant in people's heads, being a coward leads to a good place. No, it doesn't. When Ian Smith is the only gym in New Jersey or one of the only gyms, he's getting fined. You're making it harder for him. You're helping the people you hate by being, if 100 gyms open in New Jersey, they can't fine every gym. They can only fine Ian because he's sticking out like a sore thumb, and vice versa. In, these states that are more conservative leaning, some are getting help from Ron DeSantis because he's pardoning in some way their fines, but it's like, when enough people stand up, the whole thing's over, and it's never going to stop, because as soon as people aren't afraid of, COVID, they're going to bring in the climate phenomenon, and they're going to bring in climate lockdowns. They've already announced them. This is a never-ending slavery scheme. You'll never hear Trump say that. You'll never hear Shapiro say that. I haven't heard anyone say that, left or right, but I'm going to say it, and I don't care the consequences. I don't care if they smear me or what. Luckily, they leave me alone, but in general, it's a human slavery scheme that's never ending until enough people put their foot down. So not putting your foot down is like being in an abusive relationship. If you're getting hit by your spouse, you got to leave, or you got to do something. If you're being abused, whatever, when you put your, a friend, let's just say a friend that always wants favors, do this for me, they're never going to, the more you do, the more they take. It's like, hey, can you drive me here? Can you drive me here? Can you drive me here? They'll look at you like the weak friend, like, yo, they'll always take me wherever I want. If you want to be left alone, you have to say no. And once you say no, it's not that hard. They're like, oh, okay, I'll just go look for someone else. That's who these people are. When you put your foot down, it's not like everyone's going to die instantly for having bravery. It's like there's people who are brave and live till they were 100 years old. Others not so lucky, but that goes across the board for anything. Tiger Woods just got in a car accident, had nothing to do with politics. So did Sean Bradley. Driving is dangerous. Driving is more dangerous than telling the truth. It's just not as scary. It's like getting struck by lightning is scary, but getting in a car accident, nobody thinks about. Look at the numbers of car accidents versus the numbers of people getting politically assassinated. Like, it's night and day. It's like millions to under 100 or something. So it's like, it's the same thing with the COVID stuff. Like, don't buy into the fear, because the more people are afraid, the easier it is for them to get away with it. And the more they do, the more they take. The more you give in, it's not like, oh, I'll just do this and then they'll give me my freedom back. I'll let Trump do Operation Warp Speed. Just give the liberals what they want. They want the vaccine. They don't want it from Trump. They hate Trump. They're not going to give him credit. You got the vaccine. Now we're not free because we were never going to be free. And I don't want to harp on it, but I had arguments with dozens of people last year saying, Trump's doing it so he can rush it so we can be free as soon as it gets out. He rushed it. It's out. We're still not fully there. Because you got what I'm saying? It's got to end. And that's where the conservative states are higher. More people are ending it in Texas and Florida by just not doing it. And when enough people don't do it, it's over. It's that simple. And the numbers are not crazy bad out of Texas or Florida because they're all lying. Trump is lying too. I saved hundreds of millions of lives. No, where's the data that says if you open up or go to an event that everyone's going to drop dead? It doesn't exist. At most, it was 2 times as bad. It was never 10 times, 20 times, 100 times as bad. They're lying. That's not how it works. It never worked that way. So people got to put their foot down. That's what I think. All right, I'll read 1 or 2 more and then I'm going to roll out. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. And hopefully that wasn't too intense, but I feel calm. Someone said, I'm grossed out. People still haven't picked up patterns from the last year. Yeah, it's strange, right? I mean, I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm trying to be passionate. We're like, people talk to me like it's easy to do all this stuff, like give in. Like, to me, that's not easy. Like, what if bad things happen to you? And I was like, what's going on with you? I don't, worry about, I'm fine. I'm living quite a good life. I'm not gonna lie. Life is good. I'm very fulfilling. I'm working out a lot. I'm very grateful. I used to live somewhere where crime was extremely high and it was way more dangerous. Life is okay. It could be better, could be worse, but it's like, what's going on if you got to work somewhere and they force you to do this and you just give in and give, like, that sounds terrible. Just put your foot down, on anything. You don't have to go out and make a YouTube channel. Just put your foot down on one little thing in some way and just say no to somebody, because this all works through coercion. People who don't want to get it are going to get it because they feel pressured. And like, I'm just like, looking, I'm like, guys, like you said, how do you not get it yet? It's a year. It's going to be year 5. I'm going to be growing gray hairs and people are like, anomaly, 15 days, 15 days to slow the spread. It's not, it's 15 years. It's 15 years to slow the spread. What are you talking about? Anomaly, Trump just rushed the vaccine so we could be free. It's 2050. What are you talking about? It's I feel like we're gonna get to that point. Dude, just one more climate lockdown. One more climate lockdown and we'll save climate change. Bro, we're not gonna change the climate with the lot. You're out of your mind, folks. I feel like I'm living in a crazy town. I'm blown away, but whatever. Worship CME said, I was lost, but then I found Jesus who woke me. I called on him and the Holy Spirit enveloped me. Now trying to share what was given to me to the world through worship. Hope to reach out to many and create the change you talk about. Worship CME. God bless you. Beautiful story. And good luck. Thank you so much. Someone said, let's see some pull-ups. I don't have a pull-up bar. Well, you want me to just do pull-ups in thin air or something? I got some other like workout tools around here, but someone says circle back. All right, we'll circle back. Listen. Okay, yeah, I still don't have an answer. Sorry, Joe. I don't know. I got to talk to Joe Biden. We'll circle back. Oh, yeah, no, I don't know. Fact check. You're wrong. Fact check. Joe Biden never lies. Fact check. I'm Jen Psaki, and I tell the truth. I'm a truth teller. There's a lot of liars out there, and we fact check them. So, except for when I talk about FDA approval, I'm wrong, but nobody will fact check me because I'm with the fact checker. Only Anomaly will fact check me. Yeah, fact check, you lied about FDA approval. And they didn't fact check my video. You know why? Because I'm right and they're wrong. And if they fact check me, I can't do anything about it, but I will be annoyed. And my streams will get worse because I'll be annoyed. Sal Bearcat said, Russia was doing nuclear drills involving 40 million people. When's the last time USA showed you an emergency route or held some type of drill? Yeah, I mean, I can't speak on behalf of Russia, but I will say this. Putin cares about the country of Russia. China cares about the country of China. Maybe not all the people, but they care about the regime. The American regime hates the American people. They hate the American regime. It's like our country is in a worse position than those two because they don't actually like our country. They don't like the people there. They don't like our culture. They hate us. Like Putin likes his culture, wants to keep it. China likes their culture, wants to keep it. America, our own media, our own top level people, it's like they hate us. We're in for a ride. I don't know. There's going to have to be some sort of like a balancing act here because, they've extracted like everything out of America to the point where I don't think the leadership actually likes us literally at all. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi really love me and want to keep me safe. I don't think so, but maybe Mitch McConnell is my best friend and Nancy Pelosi is like my godmother or something. I don't know. Probably not, but it'd be nice to have protection from those two. Blake said, love you, Anomaly. Glad to hear life has been treating you well. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm a grateful person. So the lockdowns are annoying, but overall, you just got to make the most of it. Someone asked about what's my thoughts on Myanmar. I don't know much about it, so I can't really speak on it. Someone said, make sure you balance your muscle groups. I'm doing a pretty good job because I'm not just like, I'm doing push-ups. I'm working out. I'm running, playing soccer, boxing. I'm taking boxing lessons. So I'm doing a pretty good job getting all my muscles worked out. Thank you, Cal. I appreciate you. Someone said Pelosi working hard for you. No, I don't think she is. But I feel like America, where they've definitely done a number on our culture, but whatever. Oh, seizing major bank accounts. I'll look it up if you would like. Let me see. And that's the thing too. Like, I want to say this real quick. I'll search the story. It's kind of bad in America now, but it's still not as bad as it could be. And like in certain countries, it's too late to do anything. You know, like Miramar, like that's crazy stuff. Like Bolshevik Revolution, that's crazy. If this is the like, I can finish this stream and get Uber Eats. It's way overpriced, so I'm going to spend too much money, but I can get them to bring me food. You know, like it's not that bad here. And it is in some ways bad, but in other ways it's not. Certain countries literally can't say anything anymore, guys. And that's going to be America if people don't exercise their free speech. You know, if everyone's afraid, eventually we're going to be there. They're going to start seizing stuff and doing it. I don't want to manifest that. I don't want to wish that. But it's like, if you don't appreciate something, you lose it. And in this country, like everyone's just like frozen and scared. It's like, now's the time to do something. You know, you don't have to do something radical or, you know, obviously peaceful, but you get what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to start a YouTube channel but in general, it's like, you don't understand how bad it could get if nobody does anything. Talk to somebody who came from a communist country, who had family who lived in Russia during the Bolshevik Revolution. That's bad. That's too late to say anything. Now, not that bad in America. And so many people say so much, you're protected just off that sheer amount. There's people saying crazier stuff than me all the time, and they're not afraid, and they're fine. You know, there's 50 channels talking about something. They're fine. You'll be fine. You know, is it risk? It's riskier than, I don't know, like sitting inside and like taking a nap or something. But as far as like on a scale of how bad it could be, it's not that bad. You'll be fine. Miramar target banks in a push against foreign interference, increasing pressure on private banks to reopen through any force. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm focused on America for the most part, but I don't know what's going on there. I mean, didn't they have a coup or something? Things are crazy, man. Things are crazy. God bless the people from there, but I'm focused on my country. But I also, you know, I keep my eye on other countries. I'm not ignorant, but it's like things are going, you know, they just shut the world down for a year. Like this is, I just don't understand how people think this is just like random. Like they've dumbed out America so much. If you watch old Nixon or Kennedy or whoever, Reagan, any old debates, it's all about economy. They understand America, China, Russia. If your economy falls, your country falls. They lock down the world economy or most of the world's economy for a year. You think this is random? Now World War III, they're talking about Russia. Duh. Like how dumb is this country? Like I don't wish anything bad on this country. I love this country. I pray for safety and peace, but it's like, what do you think's going to happen if this many people are this stupid and this weak and this scared? Of course something bad's going to happen. You know, it's like, I don't want it to happen, but it's like when I made the tweet, I said in March of 2020, I said, here's what's going to come. Mandatory vaccinations, government shutdowns before they shut down, this, and Trump's not going to save you. And everyone's like, I don't want to hear it. Now, do you want to hear it? It's of course I don't want it to happen, but when you lock down and do all there, you know, there's got to be a change. And it's not, maybe one person will save you, but mostly who's going to elect a leader? It's got to come from the people. We got to have more people, and it's starting. There's people doing stuff, but that's what makes America, America. We don't have the racial makeup of like South Korea and China and Russia. You know, they're more united through ethnicity. That's why they're destroying it here, where it's like, we have America values. We're already diverse. We're already so multicultural. So they use that against us and try to divide us. But if we don't have certain pros, we have certain pros, certain cons, there's certain good and bad things about America. But overall, what we do have over every other country is the American spirit. The First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the fact that Asians, if they feel threatened, can go to the store and protect themselves without the government, or, you know, that's all we have. We don't have all these other things. So we got to use that and you know, inspire that from people. If we lose the American spirit and we lose the American fight and we lose that, we don't, you know, we have a lot of problems in this country. We have a lot of issues in the government and media. So, you know, inspire people to stand their ground peacefully, but, you know, like, no, don't scare people into thinking that it's like, let's keep America not turning into some third world communist country. Like, we don't want that. Things will be way worse. Even as bad as it is now, it's not that bad because America is so cool. Let's not lose it. Someone said Anomaly calling his audience cowards. No, that's not true. I'm not calling everyone a coward. I'm just saying the one person, like certain people, individuals, they try to scare me. And it's not like I'm going to yell at someone. But if you come to my house, it's like me going to be like, don't die in a car accident. It's like, it's a little much, it's a little much for me and it's a little much for everyone watching. So that's a straw man. I never called everyone cowards. I just said people who can't keep it to themselves and try to force me and everyone else to be afraid to do something courageous. It's cowardly. That's what it is. It's not everybody. The people who wanted to hear it liked it. And then the people who didn't. That's just like, why are you so mad? Sounds like it hit home for you or something. All right, a few more. And then I'm out. Someone said, sounds like, no, when you say like, it's like when I'll end in a second, but it's like when I critique the conservatives or the right wing, like the people that are conservative and right wing who know what I'm talking about, they love that I'm doing that. Because when there's something not happening on your movement in the Republican Party, in the Trump world, in the conservative, the people that are conservative are like, thank you, finally somebody said it. And then the people who it resonates with, they say, oh, it's not all of us. It's not all the Republicans. I know it's not all the Republicans. I get it. I know it's not everybody. I know it's not the whole movement. I know most people in it believe, that's always how it works. It's like the people who know what I'm talking about take no offense. They're like, I agree with you. Republicans are too soft. I agree with you. Conservatives aren't doing enough. And then the conservatives that are exactly who I'm talking about are always the one that are the most mad. They're like, it's not all of us. I know. And the people who it's not love it. And the people who it is hate it. Isn't that interesting? It's like a psychological thing. It's like not everybody, but the people who know what I'm talking about are like, finally. Yeah. It's like when Trump's calling out all the rhinos. No one thought, oh, Trump hates Republicans. People voted for Trump because they're like, finally, somebody's calling out all these Republicans. Trump's not talking about me. He's talking about Mitch McConnell and Mitt Romney. Like who takes, oh, no, we're not all like Mitt Romney. Duh. That's, it's like that's what made Trump appealing, was like his no nonsense attitude. No one took offense. Maybe like Joe Walsh took offense. Oh, Trump ruined my life. It's like, yeah, whatever, bro. Anomaly is not well. Seek help, said N-Rush with a super chat. That's just like a lie. I'm great. I'm healthy. I'm happy. Do you really? I'm just questioning N-Rush with the super chat. Do you really think I'm not well? Are you really concerned with me? Do you like me and are you concerned? Or did something I say, was it not what you wanted to hear? So now you're doing like the fake, I'm really concerned for you, which we talk about here all the time. I'm really concerned about your health. Are you? I would let me see a picture of you. I hope if you're like a bodybuilder and you're like Anomaly, your traps don't look good or something, or your neck doesn't look good, I'll be like, no, you're right. Teach me. But it's like, I would love to see a picture of you. No offense, but it's like, how healthy and amazing. Like, are you this health structure that's just really concerned about how healthy I am? Or show me on the doll which part of my live stream hurt your preconceived notions or whatever that you didn't want to hear. I think it's probably the second one. Someone said, what became of the impeachment of Joe Biden? How's he going to get impeached? It's a show for Republicans to earn money. How's he going to get impeached when the Democrats control the Senate and the House? Biden's not going to get impeached. He's going to get replaced by Democrats because he's losing his mind and they'd rather have puppet Kamala in there. But I think the Republicans were smart with their fundraising. They were like, if we say we're going to impeach him, maybe everybody will throw money at us. It's a good marketing tactic. It's like, yeah, we're going to impeach Biden. Now give me money. And you're like, oh my gosh, we don't have the numbers. We can't get, people got to vote in the next election or, I don't know, put up with him for 3 years. I don't know. I mean, I don't think Democrats are going to impeach him. Someone said traps. Yeah, I'm talking about the muscles. Someone said I'm actually 6'4", 26 and shredded. Okay, well, good. I'm glad you are. I'd much rather you be healthy than not, but I'm glad you're healthy, Rush. And I'm sorry that you're concerned with my health, but I'm doing great. Thank you though. God bless you. All right, one more and then we're gonna roll out. Someone said he's pro triple masks. I hope not. Someone said I have a license to diagnose. I have a license to diagnose, ready to debate anyone on your mental status. No, it's like a tactic. I mean, if someone, like if I'm like drooling and I look like out of control or something, it's like, all right, dude, something's wrong with this guy, or like a Jordan Peterson where you leave for 2 years and have like a pill addiction and you come back. It's like, that's legitimate concern. You're like, you know what? Something might be wrong with their health. But if I just say something people don't want to hear, they're just like, they act like they're really concerned for me, but in reality, they just don't want to hear what I have to say, which is such like a passive aggressive tactic. I talk about it a lot. It's like, just say you don't like me or don't like what I say. It's like the liberal to conservative, like a lot of people will say like the conservative will tell you to your face they don't like you. The liberal will say they're your best friend. And then behind closed doors, be like, oh, I hate them. Like, it's like women. Oh, Becky, I love you so much. Oh my God. Your dress looks so good. Wow. Where'd you get that? JCPenney's? Is it on sale or did you pay full price? Oh, wow. I love your dress, Becky. And as soon as she walks around the door, they're like, did you see her dress? It's disgusting. She looks gross. Like, it's the same thing. It's like, I'm really concerned with, you're not concerned with me. Just say you don't like me or you don't like what I said or you don't agree with me. I don't care. I'd much rather you be like, just say nothing or just be like, I'm not a fan of that. In which I'll be like, I don't care. It's like it's the same energy. Like, I love your dress. Did you see her dress? It's disgusting. All right, I'm going to take off. I've overstayed my welcome. All right. God bless you guys. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. I'm just going to say a few things real quick. Next time, since everybody's been so kind on Facebook with the superstars, I'm going to read off like the top 10 people of the last month with the stars and say a personal thank you. To the supporters only on Facebook, I have not forgot. I will do a supporters only live stream on Facebook this month. It's been crazy, and I've been trying to get new merch out and writing my book. I'm literally almost done now, but it's just getting better and better. I'm not going to half-ass it. So I've been doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes, and appreciate you guys. Thank you, everybody on Telegram, t.me/streamer chat, stayintouchwithme.com, the free email list. USAproductsonly.com too. I'm starting a news part of it too, just to get some certain news stories out there and write a little bit. Not that much, but a little bit. And USA Products Only, I had my buddy come yesterday and we worked on it for hours. So that's what I was doing yesterday. If you go there, we're adding more and more United States made products, usaproductsonly.com. I think we have like 50, 60 companies there. We aim to have thousands or hundreds, and it takes a long time because I go through every email. We have a filter system, but I look at the company, I look at reviews. If you have Etsy, Facebook, I try to get the best companies, make sure you guys have sales, make sure people like your product. And I'm, I know how to maneuver. So I'm not just giving people a pass. And there's so many cool companies, so many awesome, innovative stuff that you guys are doing. It's really cool to see so many people having success, and it's very difficult in this world, but it's also in some ways easy with the internet, easier than it used to be. So USAproductsonly.com. We're working on that. It's building, and I got all sorts of projects. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate the support, and I'm going to work on a video later. Thanks for staying with me. Thanks for putting up with me, and I'll see you guys soon, hopefully with a new video tomorrow, if I could finish it today. All right, let's see. And